describes in The Right Stuff, the 20th century hero. The idea here seemed to be that a man should have the ability to go up in a hurtling piece of machinery, put his hide on the line, and then have the moxie, the reflexes, the experience, the coolness to pull it back in the last yawning moment, and then go up again and do it the next day. It is a definition for the best of this century's adventurers. Charles Lindbergh, Chuck Yeager. On land, men like Henry Ford, Sir Malcolm Campbell, Art Arfons. Today, that spirit, that very attitude continues with these 12 auto racing champions who, on a Sunday afternoon, redefine Tom Wolfe's description of those men with the right stuff. CBS Sports presents live the 1985 Busch Clash. 12 engines come to life on a crisp and golden day at the world's center of speed. Hello, I'm Ken Squire. The largest crowd that's ever gathered for this event is here this afternoon to watch the Busch Clash. $200,000 at stake, $50,000 to the winner. It's just 20 laps, 50 miles to be run in approximately some 15 minutes. And the dozen that made it are those that hung their hides right out on the line in qualifying last year for Winston Cup Grand National Racing. Working with me is Chris Economaki.
Ken, this is the world's fastest auto race. Buddy Baker's 194.394 mile an hour win in 1979 made it so. And today we may well see the first 200 mile an hour auto race in history. And now, let's see how our dazzling dozen will take the starting flag.
From the rear, starting dead last, 1979 winner Buddy Baker, and alongside Terry Labonte. Going to row number 5, it's Darrell Waltrip, the 1981 winner, and Benny Parsons. For row 4, Bill Elliott, who sits on the pole for next Sunday's Daytona 500, and Missouri's Rusty Wallace. In row 3, California's Joe Ruttman, and the 3-time Grand National Champion David Pearson. In row 2, from New England comes Jeff Bodine, and alongside the Bandit, Harry Gant. Row 1, all Fords, Cale Yarborough, who's been in every one of these events and never won it, and Ricky Rudd will be on the pole. Rudd, you'll remember, 1 year ago in this race, took us right to the very edge. What are his thoughts today?
To me, that wreck was no more severe than probably another 50 that I've had in my past. It was a wreck, and it was a bad one because I ached and was bruised up for quite some time afterwards. But it doesn't really stand out in my mind as being anything that was a whole lot severe than any other accident that I've had.
Stand by for CBS style live flag-to-flag coverage of the Busch Clash.
Today's presentation of the Busch Clash is sponsored by Anheuser-Busch, the brewers of Budweiser and Busch beers. The NBA All-Star Game on CBS Sports, next.
Half a lap to a start. Standing by on pit road, 2-time Grand National Stock Car champion Ned Jarrett.
The only man to win this race twice is Neil Bonnet. He didn't make it in 1985. Neil, what's the key to winning this thing?
Ned, I used to always love to go to drivers' meet, and they'd emphasize that this is 20 laps. You guys be careful the first of this race, but I feel like the key is a little control, reckless abandon. The first of this race will get you in position to win early.
Well, let's see if there are any Neil Bonnets out there today.
Indeed, that was the case. He came from 15th and 8th, and he busted through the field in the first 2 laps. Field addressing turn number 4 as we get down to this race. Prep for next Sunday's Daytona 500, which you'll see live, flag to flag, here on CBS. Front row, all Fords, Chris.
Yep, Ricky Rudd said he'd rather start third, Ken, and I find that hard to understand. He's got the pole, and here they come down, facing starter Harold Kinder's green flag.
Fords have never won the Busch Clash. Remember, it's 20 laps, 50 miles, $5,000 bonuses at lap 5, lap 10, lap 15 on the break. The man everybody's talking about, Ricky Rudd, as a real potential to pull a surprise next Sunday in the 500. tries to jump out in front.
Dale Yarborough has been in all 6 previous clashes and had never led a lap, and he's trying to undo that today. He's second right now.
That's right. He's been out here time after time, but never even led a lap. Back straightaway. Cale Yarborough in second. Now goes for the lead down the back straightaway. Yarborough in the number 28. This year a Ford. Wada Wilson prepared car. And look at that bundle going into turn number 3.
Tremendous respect these men have for one another to ride this fast, this closely together. And it looks like Cale will break that no-lap lead jinx if he can stay where he is until he gets to the start-finish line.
At the end of lap number 1. Has been here in only 2 drivers have been in every one of these races. Yarborough, who leads the first lap, and Darrell Waltrip, the 1981 winner. Look at Yarborough build up that lead, Chris.
That's right. If he can stretch that a little bit, he'll break the draft, and they're going to have a tough job catching him. Everybody thought Elliott's car, as fast as it was yesterday, would be the one to beat, but Yarborough was opening up a big lead right at the outset.
And they're drafting side by side in second place, which will slow them down. The record for this race, 194.384 mile-an-hour average for 50 miles. Fastest race in the history of motorsports.
Terry Labonte moved from 11th to 2nd on that first lap, so he's on the move.
Meanwhile, here's Bill Elliott, the man who'll be on the pole next Sunday. That's the number 9 car, the red car. 205 miles an hour plus is what he qualified at. Here's Yarborough pulling away. He has an 11 car length advantage on number 44. Terry Labonte, Grand National champion from last year. Now he gets out of traffic. He's in second place. He's trying to run Yarborough down.
And he's gaining. They call Labonte the Iceman. And now watch it. There's a good shot on the interval. Look at Labonte close on Yarborough. He's picking up the draft, using the vacuum behind that number 28 lead car to pull him forward. And forward he's going.
28-year-old Terry Labonte of Corpus Christi, Texas, closes on 3-time Grand National champion Cale Yarborough at over 200 miles an hour. Back they go, attacking in the east banking, and look at Labonte in the number 44, the Dale Inman prepared car, move in on the Wada Wilson car. The Lundy Rainier machine stays up in front, and now they're knocking on the door.
Oh, Ken, it's the 3rd lap. At the 5th lap, there'll be a $5,000 bonus paid to the leading driver, and you have to know that's on their minds right now.
Back they go up into turns 1 and 2. Stringing out, and Joe Ruttman, driving the T.G. Shepard car, is maintaining the 3rd position. That's the Morgan McClure machine out of Virginia, driven by Tommy Ellis a year ago. Ruttman in number 4, maintaining 3rd. All pole position winners gathering with his first onslaught. Bodine going down the inside. Now there is Benny Parsons on the inside. Bill Elliott outside at number 9, directly in front of the rookie Rudd. Leaders off turn number 4. Back they come. It's still Yarborough in position 1. Now Bodine has come into 3rd. Ruttman is in 4th. Waltrip's on the move. You saw him dodge to the inside through the 17-degree triover. Weather's just about perfect for racing.
Now let's see for the 5,000 when they come around next time, whether Labonte will try a 200-mile-an-hour slingshot.
Out of turn 2. Right at the spot where Francis Flick lost his life back on Thursday at 200 miles an hour. Labonte moves in, looks to the inside. Yarborough's there. Yarborough tries to close the gate. Down to the inside. Terry Labonte, Grand National champion of 1984, taking 1st place. Cale Yarborough in 2nd. And there you see the newcomers for Jeff Bodine in 3rd. Tremendous speed as they hurtle back into the trioval. The leader at lap 5. Give $5,000 to Terry Labonte, and Texas Terry looks tough today.
That he does. A quiet, unassuming young man. He's the baby of the group at 28 years of age, is out in front, and looked like he's on his way to another great season after winning the championship last year, more on statistics than on headlines. So Labonte holds off Yarborough as they head down the back straightaway here. Now Cale Yarborough starts to move in. He wants to get back out in front. It's a Ford Chevrolet battle, rather a Chevrolet Ford battle right here. 20 laps, the richest per mile race, I believe, in American history, and certainly the fastest.
First time Labonte has led a lap in the Clash. 1 car on the wall, raising the wall is one machine as he came by our camera at turn 4 and slowing down. Up against the wall, it is David Pearson, number 21, and he's torn up the right side of his car.
You know, Pearson is the only grandfather in the field, and he makes no bones about not liking racing speeds as high as 200 miles an hour. He got a little bit high on that number 21 car. It's his old number that he won so many races in, and now he's scuffing the tires. Everything is okay except a little mechanical damage. The crew is going to have to work on that car now for the Sunday's 500.
Ron Pittman and company. 50-year-old David Pearson, first retiree from the event. There you see Labonte at number 44. Settles in. He has finished second in this race back in '82, a 10th and a 9th. Here he comes back to the line. Cale Yarborough working on him. Waltrip is up to third, running fourth. Ruttman. There you see Joe Ruttman right there. Harry Gant running in fifth. Bodine back to sixth.
Wonder what Cale Yarborough, at 44 years of age, feels about following a 28-year-old youngster that joined the circuit just a few years ago out in front of him in this great race. You know, the old drivers, the Yarboroughs and the Pearsons and the Gants, are having it tougher and tougher with the youngsters moving in. And right now we have the Iceman, Terry Labonte, holding off Cale Yarborough, the great Daytona driver.
New record at 5 laps. The old mark was 193, or rather was 190.678 back in 1979. The new record, 193.133. Back they go for turn number 1. Here you see Labonte deploying first. Yarborough just hanging on to him, Chris.
The speed is picking up. The average for the race is 198.2 miles an hour. Remember, that first lap was a fairly slow start. So they are really getting up close to that 200-mile-an-hour mark. Down that long, flat back straightaway. And if you've ever ridden down there, turn 3 looks like it's the eye of a needle. It's that narrow. Great infield crowd today. Portent of things to come for Thursday's qualifying and Sunday's 500-mile races here at the world capital of speed.
Car 55 is out of it. Benny Parsons has pulled down on the track and he's come on. Story is right there. $200,000 shootout. They've now completed 9 laps, working lap 10, coming up on halfway.
It's another $5,000 bonus for the leader of lap number 10, and let's see if Cale Yarborough can do what Terry Labonte did.
Now there's third place. There's third place. Waltrip, then Ruttman running in the 4th position. Back there in 5th, Bodine.
And now Yarborough, just inches behind Labonte.
7:37 was the record for 10 laps, Chris. And as we look at this unofficial mark that got us into the race, they're coming up on halfway.
It looks like Mr. Labonte is going to monopolize the bonus money this time around.
Cale tucked right in there. Let's see if he takes a shot on a slingshot in the tri-oval. Right on the record pace. You may be seeing the fastest auto race in history. You're watching it live here on CBS. And next Sunday, the Daytona 500 flag to flag. Be with us starting at noon Eastern for the great American race. Leader continues to be Terry Labonte in car number 44. $5,000 richer once again. Showing incredible strength. They've drawn away to a 3.5-second advantage, Chris Economaki. Terry Labonte in first, Cale Yarborough in second. Then a big interval back to a tremendous dogfight going on, where Bodine is now in third. Darrell Waltrip is running fourth. Joe Ruttman maintaining that 5th position. Let's get a word from the pits. Ned Jarrett.
Neil Bonnet was watching to see if Cale Yarborough would make a pass like Terry Labonte did to get the bonus money, but you didn't think you'd do it, Neil.
No, Ned, I feel like at this time in the race that Cale would pay that $5,000 to break away like they're doing. These 2 cars get away from that pack, and I'm sure they'd rather divide that 50 between the 2 of them and pay $5,000 to do it.
How much does it help you for 2 cars to be locked up the way they are?
Those 2 cars right now running in line with Cale and Terry working together are going to be able to pull away, especially with
I see smoke on car number 28. Yarborough seems to be in trouble and coming off the pace.
You know, the stresses and strains at these speeds has apparently gotten to the power plant on that number 28 car.
He's coming in. Labonte is all by his lonesome. And Cale is pulling off. Cale Yarborough is coming in. We still may be on our way to a new record, and we have another engine blowing. Ruttman's going away right in the tri-oval area. Number 4, Joe Ruttman erupts in smoke. No caution on the track. He's bottom of the track. Now he's back up a little, going into turn number 1. Let's see if caution comes out. It is out. Yellow comes on.
And there goes the chances for a record race because the cars have to slow down now. The reason the yellow flag is out is there may be oil on the track from Joe Lettman's car.
Well, not exactly, because they'll come back and pick it up again on the next mark, and probably, you're right, but they'll still record a time for the entire race. And on past occasions when we've had 2 cautions, even last year when we had a delay for some time after Ricky Rudd crashed, and the year before when Bobby Allison crashed, we still had races run at some pretty excessive speeds, Chris.
I know, but the interesting thing here now is you wonder what's going through Labonte's mind, who wound up with almost a straightaway lead, and he's watching that evaporate now. Remember, it's $50,000 to win, and here come the rest of the guys up behind him. How long can his engine stand this tremendous foot-to-the-floor pressure? We talked to some of the mechanics about the setup for these cars. They're all specially set up for just this race.
Chris, last year, 192-mile-an-hour average was recorded for the event. They'd knock off all his cautions, so there still is the possibility we'll see a record here today. We'll be back with more of the Busch Clash in a moment.
The NBA All-Star Game on CBS Sports next.
Terry Labonte, who had pretty much unraveled this field, now finds it tightly knitted back together. We're under caution. 13 of 20 laps complete. Bodine in second, Waltrip, Rudd, and Baker on the restart will be bumper to bumper. There's the oil mark from the T.G. Shepard car number 4, which erupted going down into turn number 1 and brought out the caution. A couple of cars had lost engines, and the Ford seemed to be having some problems. This is a prep race for next Sunday's Daytona 500. For more on that story, here's Ned Jarrett.
Just before we went away on the commercial break, we saw Cale Yarborough's car slow down, and Neil Bonnet, he'd been having some problems during practice here.
Yes, we talked with the crew and Waddell Wilson, and their engine in that Ford is a little different than the rest of the Fords. Most of them run the Cleveland engine. Waddell Wilson has built the Windsor motor, which is a different engine combination, and they've been having problems keeping that motor cool. And as we discussed before the race, it's going to be questionable if they could keep that motor cool in that car all day long.
And Ken, Bill Elliott has made a pit stop during this caution. In fact, he's back in the pits right now. Ernie Elliott and Dan, his brothers, have raised the hood on his Ford to check and see if they can find out what it is. We hope to have the word on that in a moment.
There you see the Bill Elliott car, number 9, that went on the pole for next Sunday's Daytona 500, a lap at 205+ miles per hour, shattering the old 201 mark of Cale Yarborough from a year ago. That's the car that you'll see on the pole. There's Harry Gant, number 33, the Bandit, coming back on the track. Chris?
You know, Cale Yarborough has been in all 6 of these races, never failed to finish, so he's out of this year's race, which is a record for Cale, but he led for the first time, which is also a record for Cale. The record for attrition is 7 cars not finishing, and we may break that. I'm surprised, Ken, at how many cars have called at the pits already. The tempo and the interest in this race has forced the crew chiefs to go just that one step further, and I think they're paying the price now.
One of the more dramatic moments came when David Pearson scraped the wall at 200 miles an hour up there in turn number 4. Oh, he really got up on the loose stuff, Chris.
It's not easy. Look at that. You know, David, as I said earlier, doesn't like these speeds. Talking about the speeds, the morning headline after Elliott's qualifying was Wild Bill arrives alive at 205. They've got a new copy reader on the desk there, I'm sure, who likes poetry. But that's what 205 miles an hour in qualifying, and these racing speeds of close to 200. You really have to have your right hand on the wheel.
Well, Chris, the other day, several days back, Ernie Elliott, they were asking him how fast they thought the car would run to take the pole. He said 205, and they said, Bill, what do you think? He said, I wonder who they're going to get to drive it. He didn't feel very comfortable. Interesting thing about Elliott is he doesn't feel comfortable here at Daytona and Talladega, and I think that will make him a major factor to win it. He may back off, not run hard, not run heavy in traffic, but he'll be around as he has been a couple of years ago, right up there in the top 3. Here he is, Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia, with this very smooth-looking Ford Thunderbird, which is showing some heat right now. Tire heat for the most part there, you see coming up.
I think that if you asked everyone confidentially off the record, a lot of them would tell you that they're concerned about these straight speeds, particularly because of the yellow bumpers, which means a rookie coming up in the 500. Harry Gant told me at breakfast yesterday that there really shouldn't be any yellow bumpers at Daytona Beach or Talladega at these speeds. They're nipped out of these events.
Talladega, where CBS will be at the end of July, actually is an easier track, even though it's faster to drive. This one really pinches a car, as you'll see next Sunday here in our flag-to-flag coverage of the great American race, the $1 million 27th annual Daytona 500. It's here next Sunday. Only one car has ever swept this race, and that was back when the Oldsmobile sheet metal was working so well. And Buddy Baker brought the Rainier car home in first with Darrell Waltrip, Yarborough, and Parsons following, all in Oldsmobiles. That was back in 1979. Ford still trying to win this Clash for the first time, and Ford sits on the pole for the Daytona 500 for the first time. Mercury has sat there several times, but a car with a Ford mark, first time next Sunday.
You know, the nameplates are really busy here. The people from Detroit have come in on their executive planes. There's representatives of General Motors and Ford. And the General Motors people are fighting among themselves. Oldsmobile versus Chevrolet and Pontiac. They're each trying to outdo the other. Buick in there, too.
Let's go down to Neil Bonnet. Neil, coming off turn 4, that piece of driving by Pearson I thought was remarkable, that he didn't lose the car, get it sideways, and really bash it on the inside wall. Take a look at it, Neil.
Ken, as you were talking about, and they were talking about the rookies, this right here is some driving at its best. Pearson got the car up in the wall, and he was able to keep it up there. There's a lot of guys that try to get it back off of that fence, and they're down there all over the racetrack turning over. David's been here long enough, he knows how to get it back.
What about you for next week?
Our car's running awful strong. I feel like we've got something we can get after him with. I'm looking forward to racing. This is rough on me watching.
Okay. Bill Elliott back on pit road another time, and the problems continue on that car, Chris.
Well, I don't know. They're just perhaps asking too much. You know, the Fords weren't really too powerful at the early part of last season. They only came on late last year. Some development. The factories are interested here, and they're making special parts for these engines in the cars, and that's what brought Elliott to the Ford late last season. But now they may be asking too much of the equipment these days.
Ned?
Ken, everybody has been surprised that that Ford didn't go to the front after he qualified yesterday at over 205 miles an hour, but they've been making these pit stops. The engine is missing. One of the cylinders isn't hitting, and of course, he can't run 205 miles an hour on 7 cylinders. Now, the team of Terry Labonte have been asking how many laps have there been run. Some are saying 13, some are saying 14. They are very interested in that bonus. They want to be out front when that $5,000 is paid.
13 laps are complete, Ned. Harry Hyde had an interesting line this morning, Chris. They were talking about getting these special engines ready for qualifying and for this 20-lap sprint race. And he said sometimes the goodies won't last long enough to put a flag on them. And some of them have lasted just past the flag here thus far.
Talking about the goodies, Buddy Baker is the only driver in the field who is the owner of the car. All the other drivers are contract drivers. Teams that are owned by other people. And Baker was getting his team together, and they went to get some parts the other day, and they got some connecting rods, and they said, that's 2816. He said, oh, he said, that's not bad. Let's get some extras. And the crew chief said, that's $2,816. And Baker said, what? Connecting rods no bigger than noon pies?
Field set for a start. Ready for the Clash to resume for 1985. Green flag will start 14th lap. Terry Labonte in front. Bodine. Harry Hyde is crew chief in second. Bodine will carry one of our CBS in-car cameras in next Sunday's Daytona 500. And look at the Labonte car just draw away. Just pull away. He doesn't need a draft. He's a draft unto himself. A one-man freight train into the back straightaway. Let's see what Bodine can do with it. Chevrolet Monte Carlo looks strong for next Sunday's Daytona 500.
That's true. But Bodine is another of the newcomers, so to speak, to Grand National Racing. And now,
there goes Waltrip on the inside, and he edges. Put the move on car number 5, Bodine. Darrell Waltrip. Trading sheet metal.
You know, Bodine could have reached out and touched the side of Waltrip's car there had he wanted to.
I think he did. Yeah. On the move is Ricky Rudd. The Ford that sat on the pole is back up into 4th position. Another $5,000 this time by. Thus far, it's been a $10,000 contribution to this man, Terry Labonte, at number 44, out of turn 2. Very tricky out of turn 2. The wind today is blowing off the backstretch directly across Lake Lloyd. That'll set you over 4 or 5 feet, and here comes Waltrip. Darrell Waltrip closing in.
Darrell's another 100% attendee in the Clash. He's been in every one and knows how to do it. A little bit of bump. So let's see if he can get the 5,000 this time as they come down the straightaway.
5,000 at stake. Waltrip sets his man up. Will not pull the trigger. He's waiting for the big money.
Casino. The bonuses are all over.
Down to it. 5 laps to go. Car number 44 stays in front. Terry Labonte is there, Grand National Champion from a year ago, and right behind him. And what we're seeing here in this prep for next Sunday's Daytona 500 is the GM cars look like they have some strength. We'll have Ford cars in the front row when they roll out next Sunday afternoon. But Ricky Rudd is still very much around in 4th place.
What Richard Petty is thinking right now about having let Dale Lippman, the man that sets up Terry Labonte's car, get away from him a few years ago. And Dale Lippman, that was with Petty for all those wins, and here he is. Got another car, he's winning today.
Back across the stripe, Chevrolet trying to win this event for the 3rd straight year. Bonnet did it for them in 84 and 83 when he defeated Darrell Waltrip and then Dale Yarborough in 84. Now the speed, 195.652. And Chris, we have a new record. The old record was 194.245. New record, 195.652.
Last lap, 198.4 miles an hour.
And remember, they have to pick up speed after those cautions to get them running again. Coming around down toward the finish. As you watch live here on CBS, the Clash for 1985. Front runner is Labonte, but Waltrip in his favorite spot, and he's willing to trade the sheet metal at 200 miles an hour. 3rd is Bodine, 4th is Gant, and 5th now lies Bill Elliott.
Well, Terry Labonte won last year's championship on consistency, but he's starting the 1985 season off with speed, and he's got a tough competitor right filling up his mare there. Daring Darrell Waltrip as a hit down the back straightaway.
Less than 3 to go. Now, down here, you're watching Bill Elliott creeping up on the inside, going after Gant, going after Bodine. That's Bill Elliott in the 9 car, moving up, taking a spot, pulls him into 4th. The leader is drawing away. 4-car length advantage. Give it to Terry Labonte at number 44. Coming by. 2-lap indicator on the field. $200,000 to be decided. $50,000 to the winner.
You know, Terry Labonte's car is owned by a Louisiana oil man, Billy Hagan, who sold his small interest in it to a Hollywood producer, Walter Wood, who really knows how to pick people, I would say. And what a film this would make with Terry Labonte, the Iceman, national champion, showing everybody he deserves to be number 1 in this business.
Walter's sitting up in the Berkshires watching this race on CBS today. He'll be here next week, and I would imagine right now he's down to his last fingernail.
We'll have to find out where the party's going to be, Ken.
6-car length interval, and it is still Terry Labonte pulling away. Meanwhile, up into 3rd spot, here comes Elliott. Bill Elliott is hauling through, and he has gone by Bodine, gone by Gant. White flag is out, 1 lap remaining. You may be seeing the fastest race in the history of motorsports. Terry Labonte triggers that car into the 1st turn. Up he goes on a 31-degree banking.
It must be a hopeless feeling for someone like Waltrip, who knows exactly what to do but is unable to do it because the machine just doesn't have the oomph to catch him. Now the draft there, he's got about 7 car lengths to pick up. He'll get some of it back. Let's see if he can get more.
Now remember, next Sunday they'll detune him a little, go to a slightly different gear because they have to make them last for 500 miles in the 27th annual $1 million Great American Race, the Daytona 500. Coming around to decide the Clash. After Ford's dominated qualifying yesterday for the 500, it is Terry Labonte across the line, and number 44 is winning. Side by side, the Oldsmobile of Buddy Baker and Ricky Rudd and his Ford across the stripe, dead even.
Rudd may have had him by a couple of inches there. It's quite a race, quite a race. I'm sure the fans are happy at the competition displayed in this race today, but what is surprising really was the mechanical breakdowns we saw, Ken. I never expected that.
Sensational preview to next Sunday's Daytona 500, and the win goes to this youngster, the Grand National Champion, Terry Labonte from Corpus Christi, Texas, the Billy Hagan car, prepared by Dale Inman. Once again asserts itself, and he becomes a leading candidate among the young Lions to beat the old Warriors in next week's 500.
He's the youngest driver in the field today at 28 years of age.
For Chris Economaki, Ned Jarrett, and Neil Bonnet, this is Ken Squire saying goodbye from the Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. Stay tuned next for the 35th NBA All-Star Game live from Indianapolis, Indiana. And next Sunday, join CBS Sports for exclusive live flag-to-flag coverage of the 27th annual Daytona 500, live at 12 o'clock Eastern. The Clash of '85 has been a presentation of CBS Sports.